Welcome to our latest installment of Kingdom Hearts Mysteries, our collaborative series with Kingdom Hearts Insider, where we aim to shed light on the more complicated aspects of the Kingdom Hearts games in order to help prepare everyone for the upcoming Kingdom Hearts 3. So far, we've gone through how time travel works in the series, along with exploring Sora's connection to others. Now it's time to take a closer look at the true goals of the series' antagonist, Master Xehanort. Long before Sora was born, a young Xehanort lived on Destiny Islands and eagerly wanted to escape to the outside world. By means unknown, Xehanort left his home and found a master on a new world who trained him to use the Keyblade, alongside Eraqus. This world was the Land of Departure, a world that lied between the realms of light and darkness, which had been the home of generations of Keyblade masters. Xehanort's master firmly believed the light to be absolute, urging the apprentices to protect the sanctity of light at all costs, and to not allow themselves to even be associated with darkness. However, Xehanort suspected his master was only telling him one side of the truth, and decided to venture off into the ocean of worlds to discover the true answers on his own. And what better place to start than with the Keyblade War?
Behold, these lifeless keys used to be full of power, united with the hearts of their masters.
Long ago, the worlds were once united in a single realm, overflowing with light, and Keyblade wielders were commonplace. However, those wielders began to clash over ownership of that precious light, sparking the beginnings of the legendary Keyblade War. The battle raged on between those who fought to defend the light, to engulf the world in darkness, to reclaim peace, to obtain unimaginable power, as well as those who were drawn into the war as a result of the ensuing conflict. The war yielded no clear victor. Kingdom Hearts faded away, and the entire realm was plunged into darkness, only to be later reborn by the small glimmer of light still residing in the dark, which became the many scattered worlds we know today. They were separated in order to prevent the war from taking place again. The conclusion Xehanort arrived at, based on his findings of the Keyblade War, was that Kingdom Hearts was actually a conglomerate of all hearts. He believed that by gathering the hearts of all things in a single location, it would be possible to complete the true Kingdom Hearts. If one were to open its door, they would supposedly be reborn with powers beyond anyone's imagination, being able to recreate the entire world in their own image. While there are various alternate methods to create Kingdom Hearts, it is only through the use of the legendary Keyblade that one may call forth the true Kingdom Hearts. This blade is different from every other Keyblade and is actually spelled differently too, getting its name from the Greek letter Chi, and symbolizes the perfect crossing of light and darkness used to forge it. It directly coexists with Kingdom Hearts and possesses far more power than that of the man-made Keyblades we've seen throughout the series. However, the original Keyblade was shattered during the Keyblade War into 20 pieces, 7 of light and 13 of darkness. Xehanort wrote in his reports that he believed that a healthy balance of light and darkness is what sustains the world. He felt that too much of the darkness had been stamped out, disrupting that balance. Thus he felt obligated to restore it, but to do that, he needed the Keyblade. Xehanort, now an old man, had dedicated his life to achieving this goal, but still failed to do so. It became apparent to him that he would not survive to see his dream accomplished, until he realized something. Being a Keyblade master, he had the ability to extract hearts and place them somewhere else. If he did this for his own heart and transferred it into a new vessel, he could continue his work in a younger, healthier body and live long enough in order to create the next world, where light and darkness would exist in perfect equilibrium. Regardless of who he chose to house his precious heart, Xehanort had no doubts that he was strong enough to wrest full control from them, and while the body eventually grows old, the heart is eternal.
Please don't do this, Master! I'm not strong enough!
This prompted Xehanort to take in the 10-year-old Ventus as his apprentice, a child with great potential who merely lacked the means to harness it. It was quickly apparent that Ventus was too kind and gentle to tap into his inner strength, and thus rendered unsuitable to host Xehanort's heart. Discouraged from using him as his new vessel, Xehanort decided to use him to recreate the Keyblade instead. He did this by forcibly extracting the darkness from Ven's heart to create two separate beings, one of pure light and the other of pure darkness. When the day comes that these two individuals would clash, their perfect balance of light and darkness would create the legendary weapon anew. Ven's former dark half, now named Vanitas, flourished too quickly, and continued exposure to him caused Ven's heart to falter. Xehanort turned to his former brother pupil Ericus, who now since succeeded their master, to adopt the child as his own apprentice. It was when he reunited with Ericus that he turned his attention to Ericus's pupils, Terra and Aqua. Xehanort instantly recognized that Terra possessed a lust for power, making him susceptible to darkness in order to sustain Xehanort's heart. He had found his new vessel, but he knew Ericus wouldn't let him go so easily. Xehanort found his opportunity to plant seeds of doubt within Ericus and Terra when the time arrived for the apprentice's Mark of Mastery exam 4 years later. Although Ericus was ready to promote Terra and Aqua without the need for a formal exam, Xehanort insisted, as his longtime friend, that one was necessary in order to prove that Terra had not been corrupted by darkness and was worthy of becoming a master. He then sabotaged the exam, prompting Terra's darkness to surface in front of his light-obsessed master, causing him to fail. Xehanort used his position as an authority figure and took advantage of Terra's crippled confidence, allowing him to easily gain his trust. As for Aqua and Ven, they would leave home on their own accord, desperately chasing after their friend. Xehanort made meticulous efforts to draw Terra, Aqua, and Ven further away from each other, filling their hearts with doubt and fracturing their so-called unbreakable connections. As Terra would be constantly led through unfavorable circumstances, Aqua and Ven would always be following and witness the results of his actions. By the time the three reconvene, they would no longer be able to trust one another. To make sure of this, Xehanort formed alliances with two individuals from other worlds, Maleficent, the dark fairy from the Enchanted Dominion, and Braig, an apprentice to Ansem the Wise, the ruler of Radiant Garden. He made an agreement with Maleficent to frame Terra and fool him into believing that he stole the heart of Princess Aurora. In exchange for her services, Xehanort passed on key knowledge regarding that of the 7 maidens with hearts of pure light, in order for Maleficent to seek them out for him.
Then we will rule all the worlds together!
Xehanort discovered Braig possessed a lust for power and desired a Keyblade of his own. When Braig realized Xehanort had both the power and the means to grant his wishes, he eagerly offered his services. What he had to do and what would happen to him as a result of that blind faith was not a matter of concern, and so he didn't hesitate to clash with Terra, allowing his suppressed darkness to fully surface, just as Xehanort wanted. After fighting Terra, however, Xehanort placed a piece of his heart inside Braig's, slowly transforming him into another version of himself. At this point, all Xehanort needed now was one final push to drive Terra over the edge. In order to accomplish this, Xehanort led him back to the land of departure and killed Ericus before his very eyes, leaving his former home in ruins, and left a final calling card for Terra, Aqua, and Ven to follow him to the Keyblade Graveyard, where the legendary Keyblade War took place, and play the final parts in the roles that had been written for them. The trio arrived, ready to confront Xehanort, without realizing they had walked straight into a trap. As Xehanort dealt with Terra personally, Braig kept Aqua occupied, while Vanitas and Ven clashed with one another and forged an imperfect Keyblade. The Keyblade's creation provided the perfect opportunity for Xehanort to catch Terra off guard and force his heart into Terra's body, quickly taking full control. However, Terra refused to go down so easily, and his powerful will to fight was enough to animate his armor and take Xehanort down. With Aqua and Ven having been able to defeat Braig and Vanitas, as well as destroying the Keyblade, it seemed as though they were able to turn the tides of this battle. Unfortunately, that was not meant to be. The destruction of the Keyblade resulted in an explosion that sent everyone off into the Ocean of Worlds. Xehanort, now in control of Terra's body, was transferred over to Radiant Garden. It appeared he had lost his memories due to the blast, and it wasn't until Aqua confronted him that they were able to resurface. Terra couldn't bear to watch Xehanort hurt his friend with his own body, and fought desperately to hamper him. Refusing to let Terra regain control, Xehanort boldly stabbed himself with his Keyblade, locking both of their hearts away in the process. The now amnesiac Xehanort could do nothing as he began to fall deep into the darkness, but Aqua, believing that Terra was still alive within, used her Keyblade and armor to sweep him away to safety and fall into the shadows in his place.
Ben, I'm sorry. I might not make it back as soon as I thought, but I promise I'll be there one day to wake you up.
Xehanort was soon discovered by Ansem the Wise, with only his name to go by. However, it's unclear whether the amnesia he suffered from was in fact genuine. You see, although the two shared a body, Terra and Xehanort existed separately deep within. Terra had no intention of remaining a vessel and planned to do whatever it took in order to rid himself of Xehanort. How he intended to do this is heavily implied to be with the aid of Ericus himself, whose heart might have survived inside Terra. This did not shake Xehanort, who reveals that he has taken numerous measures to ensure his plan's success. Over the next year, the amnesiac Xehanort was taken under Ansem's wing and became his most brilliant apprentice. Ansem noticed how inquisitive Xehanort was, even showing signs of supernatural abilities. Xehanort's curiosity led Ansem to begin researching the darkness in people's hearts. Ansem hoped that the experiments they conducted would allow Xehanort to regain his locked memories, but he eventually realized that they were too dangerous to continue. Xehanort became obsessed with the research and refused to surrender. He continued the experiments in secret with the other apprentices and chronicled his findings in the so-called Ansem reports. The research brought forth creatures spawned from the darkness of people's hearts, prompting Xehanort to name them the Heartless, as they seemed to lack emotion and sought out more hearts. Those who were naturally born were dubbed purebloods. Xehanort later constructed a machine that artificially created Heartless, which he branded with a special emblem in order to differentiate them from the pureblood ones, naming them Emblem Heartless. Although Heartless have existed so long as darkness existed in people's hearts, this was the moment when they were unleashed freely into the realm of light. The Heartless act on instinct, focusing only on devouring hearts to produce more of their kind. Perplexed by their behavior, Xehanort decided to follow one through the castle. To his surprise, it led him straight to the heart of the world itself, and by opening the door to that heart, Xehanort released the border separating Radiant Garden from all outside worlds. When Ansem the Wise discovered what Xehanort and the other apprentices had done, he desperately tried to stop them. But by that point, it was already too late. The apprentices were already too far gone, and nothing stopped them from banishing Ansem to the realm of darkness. With no obstacles left to stand in his way, Xehanort, who had now unlocked his memories of his original self and Terra, chose to rid himself of his own body and become a Heartless. But he didn't stop there. Xehanort then used his newly awakened Keyblade to forcibly extract the hearts of the other apprentices against their will, transforming them into Heartless as well. Because Xehanort's heart was so strong, he was able to retain his sense of self even as a Heartless. And now that he was no longer tied down by his body, he gained the ability to travel through time. He wore a brown cloak to hide his form, and initiated Master Xehanort's plan to travel to the past when his younger self still resided on Destiny Islands, and gave him the ability to travel through time as well, etching this dark seeker path into his own heart. As the laws of time travel do not permit him to return to his own time, Xehanort's Heartless, now going by the name Ansem Seeker of Darkness, continued to live out the timeline until he was finally able to act upon the first of many of Xehanort's failsafes. That being to create Kingdom Hearts solely out of the hearts of the worlds. In order to do so, he needed to destroy enough worlds to capture their hearts to create Kingdom Hearts, as well as harness the power of the 7 Hearts of Pure Light in order to unlock the door to darkness to access it. Maleficent had been destroying the worlds on her mission to acquire the princesses after her original encounter with Xehanort, doing all of Ansem's work for him. He had no doubt that he would easily be able to seize the results of her efforts for himself, but he could not do so while still lacking a proper body. He needed a new vessel. The opportunity arrived for Ansem when he discovered the young boy, Riku. He had access to Terra's memories and knew that Riku not only received the power to wield a Keyblade from him, but he also possessed a similar lust for power and freedom that Xehanort himself had, making him an easy target. Ansem preyed on Riku's desires and weaknesses, luring him into the darkness and convincing Riku to allow him to take over his body. Now that he had obtained a body and unlocked the path to Kingdom Hearts, victory was all but certain for Ansem. That is, until he was defeated by Sora, Donald, and Goofy, but not for long. Upon his defeat, Riku's stolen body was returned to him, with Xehanort's heart still within, and it remained there until Ansem the Wise's heart machine exploded, finally purging Xehanort from Riku's heart. Xehanort and the rest of Ansem the Wise's apprentices had strong hearts that the bodies they left behind after becoming heartless were able to act on their own, becoming nobodies. Each and every member in Organization 13 adopted new names formed of anagrams of their original names with an X, which represents the Greek letter Chi from the legendary Keyblade. With Xehanort's nobody Xemnas at the helm, they formed Organization 13. The organization's main goal was to create a Kingdom Hearts from the hearts of people so that they could reclaim their own. However, Xemnas had other plans as well, two of which deeply revolved around Aqua and Ventus. You see, between Ansem Seeker of Darkness and Xemnas, the Heartless and Nobody born from the Tea Xehanort fusion, it's implied that Xemnas is the one who's more strongly influenced by Terra. His desperation to find his friends prompted Xemnas to construct the Chamber of Repose. The Chamber of Repose, located deep underground in Radiant Garden, was created to act as a partner to the Chamber of Waking, located in Castle Oblivion, the world that was once the Land of Departure. Xemnas placed the armor and Keyblade Aqua had left behind within the Chamber of Repose, and would often hole himself up in there, speaking with it. He knew that Aqua had locked Ventus's body away in the Chamber of Waking in order to protect him, and that she was the only one who knew how to access it. Xigbar, Braig's nobody, had even heard a voice answering back, although it's safe to say that Xemnas was never able to find the solution he so desired. However, no matter how much influence Terra might have on Xemnas, he remained closely connected to Xehanort to initiate the second of Master Xehanort's failsafes, to recreate the Keyblade, by gathering the 13 pieces of darkness and 7 of light that it had split into. In order to accomplish this, he meant to use Organization 13 to gather 13 empty shells, that is, 13 nobodies, and fill them all with a piece of Xehanort's heart. Doing so would transform them into 13 Seekers of Darkness, who would then clash with the 7 Guardians of Light that opposed them, and their conflict would be able to forge the Keyblade anew. Although the organization succeeded in creating an artificial Kingdom Hearts, they were completely eradicated by the Heroes of Light. But that doesn't mean they were defeated for good. Once a person's Heartless and Nobody are destroyed, the original self is revived, which meant that as soon as Xemnas was defeated, Master Xehanort would return, and he would not make the same mistake a second time. Though many of the other members of Organization 13 proved to be unsuitable to become Seekers of Darkness, there was one person he knew would be satisfactory: himself. When the great sorcerer and retired Keyblade master Yen Sid learned of Xehanort's inevitable rebirth, he summoned Sora and Riku to undergo the Mark of Mastery, so that they would have as many Keyblade masters as possible to fight against him. As part of their exam, the duo traveled to the Realm of Sleep to gain the ability to awaken sleeping worlds. Xehanort had, however, foreseen this. This is why he used the abilities he acquired upon becoming a Heartless to travel back in time and pass them on to his younger self. Young Xehanort had then gathered various incarnations of himself from different time periods in one place, along with those who had already received a piece of his heart, such as Xigbar and Sakes. By doing so, he was able to create a new Organization 13, with much more suitable members. However, despite all of Xehanort's efforts, he still lacked a proper 13th member. Originally, he had intended for Riku to fill that position, but he became unsuitable when he overcame his weakness to darkness. He then turned his attention to Roxas, but he became too self-aware and could not be used. So, Xehanort moved down the line once again and set his sight on Sora, who, being so heavily burdened by the hearts he was sheltering, was a prime candidate to become the 13th member of the new organization. The new organization sabotaged the Mark of Mastery exam and lured Sora into their stronghold, where young Xehanort had gathered all the different incarnations of Xehanort, including that of the reincarnated Master Xehanort. It's worth noting that he did not return as the Terra Xehanort fusion that originally created Ansem Seeker of Darkness and Xemnas, making Terra's current situation unclear. Master Xehanort's attempt to force a piece of his heart into Sora was foiled by the Heroes of Light. However, he is determined to continue with his plan to reunite his 13 Seekers of Darkness with the 7 Guardians of Light once more in the Keyblade Graveyard, where they'll finally have that fateful battle to call forth the true Kingdom Hearts and the Keyblade. Our Kingdom Hearts mysteries conclude with our 4th installment, which will delve into everything we know about the browser-based game Kingdom Hearts Kai, and the clues it presents us with regarding the future of the series. So be sure to return back to Game Trailers next month as we go through the most important plot points in preparation for Kingdom Hearts 3.